Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air here late today, the Los Angeles County DA revealing Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, will be charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the stabbing deaths of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner. For the first time here, images showing the moment Nick Reiner is arrested and what we've now learned tonight about what played out in the hours before the murders. Also breaking just in tonight, new surveillance of the person of interest, considered armed and dangerous and still on the run tonight after the mass shooting at Brown University. What the FBI wants you to focus on here. Tonight, an MIT professor who taught nuclear science shot multiple times, found in his Boston area home, dying at the hospital. The search underway right now. Tonight, the explosive interview from inside President Trump's inner circle. His chief of staff, Susie Wiles, who prefers staying in the background, gives nearly a dozen on-the-record interviews to Vanity Fair, revealing she was the child of an alcoholic and saying President Trump has, quote, an alcoholic's personality. What she says about Vice President J.D. Vance, what she says about Jeffrey Epstein, and the Attorney General's handling of the case. Tonight, President Trump responding to Susie Wiles' comments about him, quote, having an alcoholic's personality. Dramatic new images tonight emerging of that horrific massacre on the first night of Hanukkah. Dashcam video now showing that heroic couple in their 60s and what they try to do. You'll see it going after the gunman. Here in the U.S. tonight, the flood emergency now turning deadly, and a major change coming for much of the country. Ginger Z is here. Police chasing a stolen car, the driver losing control, crashing, and the explosion. The disappointing news tonight coming in on the Rolling Stones. We have it. And 9 days left until Christmas, our great Made in America Christmas on the hunt, opening doors, shaking hands. Tonight, your new ideas, from the chocolates to the secret sauce to the wooden board game celebrating your favorite team. It's a home run. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Tuesday night, new evidence in the Australian terror attack, when police now believe the gunmen were inspired by the so-called Islamic State.
The feed registered to the younger male contained IEDs.
A new video showing the attackers being confronted by a couple in their 60s. Access denied.
An officer came up to me, screamed in my face, pushed me back into the wall.
Why a Canadian delegation, including MPs, was blocked from entering the occupied West Bank. Breaking news, charges laid in the Rob Reiner murder investigation, and new details from the night before he and his wife were killed. Plus, Canada's new grocery code of conduct, what it means for the industry and food prices.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We are learning more tonight about the gunman responsible for Sunday's attack on Australia's Jewish community and the victims, including some who died trying to stop the massacre. Take a look at this new dashcam video showing a couple in their 60s, Boris and Sophia Gurman, confronting one of the gunmen. You can see 69-year-old Boris in the light-colored shirt tackling the shooter and wrestling his firearm away as they fall to the ground. His wife Sophia then runs towards him as they face off with the shooter. Sadly, the couple did not survive. The Gurmans were longtime residents of that community, about to celebrate their 35th wedding anniversary. That same dashcam video also appears to show the suspect's car with a flag of the so-called Islamic State. Redmond Shannon on the victims and the investigation.
A sea of flowers by the Pacific Ocean. Among the mourners, the Ukrainian parents of the youngest victim of the Hanukkah attack, 10-year-old Matilda.
This was not a surprise to the Jewish community. We warned the government of this many, many times over. We've had synagogues that have been graffitied.
Victoria Teplitsky's elderly father was shot and injured. She says the Australian government has been ignoring rising anti-Semitism. What is not being debated is that the father and son alleged attackers killed people simply for being Jewish.
The vehicle, which is registered to the younger male, contained IEDs, but I also confirmed that it contained 2 homemade ISIS flags.
Police say Indian-born Sajid Akram and his son Naveen travelled to the Philippines last month. Australia's public broadcaster ABC reports the men attended a military-style training camp.
Very strong. Thank you very much. That is strong.
Australia's Prime Minister visited Ahmed Al-Ahmed in hospital Tuesday. The Muslim Syrian Australian who intervened Sunday, likely saving numerous lives.
It was a great honour to meet Ahmed Al-Ahmed. He is a true Australian hero. He's very humble.
Do you feel at ease? Do you feel safe? Do you feel less safe because now there's no one in custody right now?
I mean, obviously less safe knowing there's no one in custody. Some uncertainty in the area of what things are happening. Hopefully they resolve it as soon as possible.
If the guy is smart, he's hiding. He's not going to come out, and maybe there's no evidence. So I don't know.
A campus on edge and a community waiting for answers as the manhunt for the Brown University gunman enters day 4 now. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. John, good to be with you.
Good to be with you as well, Sandra. New video coming out, as you saw there on the screen. I'm John Roberts in Washington, and this is America Reports. Right now, police chasing down a new lead, releasing new photographs and surveillance video. The FBI also offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect accused of killing 2 students and injuring 9 others at Brown University on Saturday.
So investigators describing him as 5 feet 8 inches tall with a stocky build and say he was in the area just hours before the deadly attack. Officials insisting they are making steady progress. But 3 days later, the killer remains on the loose.
Fox News Deep coverage kicks off now with Paul Morrow on deck. But first to our national correspondent, Brian Yanis. He's got the latest for us live from Providence. Brian.
John, good afternoon. Well, these are the clearest pictures yet of the primary person of interest that they are looking for, and they are asking the public for help in identifying him. Let's put up the surveillance video showing folks what we have been showing all day here. The man wearing a dark beanie, a surgical mask over his face, and a dark two-tone jacket. He's seen walking. At one point, he stops, turns around, and looks towards a sign. Police don't know what he was doing, but we do know that these 3 new surveillance videos were captured at 2 p.m. Saturday, just 2 hours before the shooting, right near the engineering and physics building where the gunman murdered 2 students and wounded 9 others. Now, using video timestamps and reported locations, this map gives us an idea of the path the potential gunman took in the residential area, a block or 2 away from the engineering building. At 2:08, he was seen at the front of the Rhode Island Historical Society, then seen again at 2:18, 2:52, and 2:53, walking west on Manning Street. Then at about 4:05, the shots are fired at the engineering building, and at 4:06, a surveillance camera captures the person of interest walking away from the building.
It's critical that we reconstruct this man's movements, both before and afterwards. And my hope is that we will eventually have that pattern. But when you ask staff why are they looking at particular areas, where he was and what his movements are developing as we obtain additional evidence.
Now, there are a lot of questions as to why more cameras at Brown University did not capture the gunman on campus. One of those reasons could be because the shooter never had to walk through the main campus to get to the engineering and physics building, which is located on the edge of campus near a residential area. Meanwhile, we saw 24 FBI agents searching for evidence in the snow, bushes, shrubs, garbage cans yesterday, picking up everything from a glove to an empty alcohol bottle, anything that could maybe have the DNA of the gunman. These grid searches were taking place right outside the building and near the homes and the businesses that were across the street. We spoke to a recent Brown graduate who was visiting a friend inside that building just 30 minutes before the shooting.
I think the main thing is just the lack of communication. I think for me that's the main thing. For instance, the only reason I even knew there was a shooting is because my friend got the alert. I wouldn't have known.
Hello, good morning. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 17th of December. Here are your headlines. Thousands of resident doctors begin their 5-day walkout this morning. The Health Secretary has warned this latest strike could make the NHS collapse.
They chose this week because they realised this week was the week in which they could inflict the most damage on the NHS and on patients. That's what I think is unconscionable.
Here in Sydney, the alleged gunman behind the Bondi beach attack is charged with 59 offences. Meanwhile, the first funerals are held for some of the 15 people killed. The aunt of the youngest victim, Matilda, tells me how she wants her niece to be remembered.
We need to remember Matilda, remember like a happy child, not like a killed child, just a happy child.
Also ahead, the son of film director Rob Reiner is charged with murdering his parents. And at 6:14, we'll be seeing what's making headlines in today's papers with lead executive at the Sikh Federation UK, Darbinder Jeet Singh. Hello, good morning everyone. Well, it's been a difficult December for the NHS, with hospitals pushed to the brink by what seems to be a wave of superflu. And things are about to get worse, with thousands of resident doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, going on strike for 5 days from 7 o'clock this morning. It's a bitter dispute that's been going on for nearly 3 years. Well, doctors want a 26% pay rise to make up for what they say is years of below-inflation salary increases. The Health Secretary says they're being unreasonable and warned this latest walkout could be the Jenga piece that causes the NHS to collapse. Well, let's talk more about this. We're going to go live to our political correspondent, Rob Powell. Great to see you, Rob. So listen, resident doctors, they're going ahead with this strike because the majority, not all of them, rejected Wes Streeting's latest offer. So tell us why are medics happy with it, or weren't happy with it, rather?
Yeah, I think it's because there was nothing in that offer about pay, Leah. So that strike will start in the next hour at 7 o'clock, and it will run for 5 days. You'll get resident doctors walking out, as you say. They perform a variety of functions in hospitals, and if you're in there as an inpatient or an outpatient, you come into contact with them pretty frequently. So any strikes of this order do have a pretty severe impact on hospitals. You tend to find more senior doctors, consultants stepping in to backfill those roles to make sure the emergency cover and the other job functions that need to be there are in place. That inevitably leads to more routine procedures, appointments being cancelled as well. In the last for
The New South Wales Parliament to be recalled next week to discuss gun law reforms in the wake of the Bondi terror attack. And an emotional goodbye. Hundreds gather at a Bondi synagogue to farewell Rabbi Eli Schlanger. Tom Silvani, the son of an AFL legend and TV presenter, sentenced to 6 years in prison for raping a woman in 2024. And uncertainty remains over CSIRO job cuts, despite a funding boost in the government's mid-year budget update. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Joe O'Brien. The New South Wales Premier Chris Minns has recalled the state's parliament to debate new gun control laws next week. The proposed bill would cap the number of firearms a licensed shooter can own, reclassify weapon types and remove avenues of appeal. The recall of state parliament comes while the federal government is under fire for its response to anti-Semitism. During an impassioned speech at Bondi Beach, former Liberal MP Josh Frydenberg has called for a royal commission into the rise of anti-Semitism. He laid out an 8-point plan which included tightening immigration, banning extremist organisations and investing in education.
We, as a Jewish community, have been abandoned and left alone by our governments. Our governments have failed every Australian when it comes to fighting hate and anti-Semitism. Our Prime Minister, our government, has allowed Australia to be radicalised on his watch. It's time for him to accept personal responsibility for the death of 15 innocent people, including a 10-year-old child.
Foreign Minister Penny Wong says the government will consider Mr Frydenberg's proposal.
We will look at all suggestions about what more can be done. I'd make the point on anti-Semitism, and I spoke on Sunday to Gillian Seagull, the envoy, and she's made a number of public comments. We have taken action that she recommended, such as criminalising hate speech and symbols, including the Nazi salute. We've taken action, including my expulsion of the Iranian ambassador when it was clear that Iran had connections to the attack on a synagogue here in Australia. But we all know more needs to be done.
Foreign Minister Penny Wong there, and reporter Alex Lewis joins us now from the New South Wales State Parliament. Alex, what can you tell us about the Premier's proposed changes?
Well, Joe, there are two components of the reforms that New South Wales government hopes to pass this.
Africa News. The news.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Ethiopia on Tuesday for a two-day tour of the East African country. After meeting his Ethiopian counterpart Abiy Ahmed, the pair met with members of the Indian community in Addis Ababa. For Indian policymakers, Ethiopia offers a valuable foothold. It holds the African Union headquarters and has gained political and economic weight through its 2024 entry into expanded BRICS group. Economically, Ethiopia is seen as a recovery market where India has a long standard. 175 Indian companies operate in Addis Ababa, mainly in textiles. Despite regulatory and infrastructural challenges, New Delhi views these resources as a major opportunity, reflecting in a recent study by the Indian Embassy in Addis Ababa. Deeper mining cooperation could also help India secure key supplies.
Some 30 people, most of them soldiers, have been jailed in Benin in connection with a failed coup attempt earlier this month. French news agency AFP is reporting. The soldiers took over state television on December 7th and announced that the government had been dissolved. But their takeover bid was thwarted by loyalists backed by airstrikes and military assistance from Nigeria and other West African allies. The accused were jailed on Tuesday, AFP said, following a pre-trial hearing. They're charged with treason, murder and endangering state security. The rebel soldiers accused President Talon of mishandling the security situation in northern Benin and criticised cuts to healthcare and other public services. They also accused him of clamping down on political activities. UN peacekeepers in Sudan mourned 6 of their own on Monday at a ceremony in Kadugli. The fallen peacekeepers were killed in a drone strike on their base in the central Kordofan region. All of the victims were Bangladeshi nationals, the UN said, serving in its UNISFA security force for Abyei. In the state.
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.